Welcome to AU Manufacturing Conversations, where we explore the cutting edge of manufacturing technology and the people behind the innovations shaping our industry. I'm your host, Simran Gill, and today we're diving into the world of green steel production with a true pioneer in the field. The steel industry is at a critical juncture, particularly here in Australia, as we've seen with the recent challenges at the Whyalla steelworks. As manufacturing professionals, we're all watching closely to see how traditional steel production might transform to meet both the economic and environmental demands of the future. Our guest today is Neil Goodman, CEO of Magnum Mining and Exploration and former General Manager of Rio Tinto's Hi-smelt Corporation. With over 40 years of experience in the steel industry, Neil has been at the forefront of developing technologies to improve efficiency and reduce environmental emissions. He's played a key role in design and operation of the first commercial-scale Hi-smelt plants in Western Australia and China, and today owns the rights to this reduced carbon process outside of China. Neil joins us to discuss the potential of green steel, Hi-smelt technology, and what possibilities might exist for facilities like Whyalla. Neil, welcome to the show.
Good to meet you.
Neil, could you please tell us a bit about your background in the steel industry and how you got involved with Hi-smelt technology?
I've been in the steel industry now for over 45 years. I've built blast furnaces, DRI plants, auction steel plants, electric steel plants. Worked in Europe, Asia, the USA. And about 25 years ago, I was hired by Rio Tinto to help design and build and operate the first commercial scale Hi-smelt plant. This was built in Kwinana in Western Australia. And after that, I went to China for 4 years and helped build the first Hi-smelt plant in China.
That sounds really impressive. What was the highlight of your career so far?
I think it's been a long journey. I mean, Hi-smelt technology started development in the 80s. Rio Tinto spent billions of dollars, probably a couple of $1 billion in 30 years, from research through to pilot, small-scale pilot plants, larger-scale pilot plants, until the first commercial plant in Kwinana. Seeing that success from the 80s all the way through has been it's been a phenomenal journey for me, and a great result when we first made the first iron in Western Australia, a big result, and then replicating it in China, just as good.
Just on that note, could you explain firstly what Hi-smelt technology is, and then how the Hi-smelt reduced carbon process works, followed by what environmental advantages it offers over traditional iron making methods?
Okay, so Hi-smelt is what's called a direct smelting process. So it directly injects iron ore powder and carbon powder into liquid iron. So the liquid iron is already hot; it's at 1500 degrees C. And when you inject carbon and iron ore together in something hot, you get a big explosive reaction, a lot of heat generated, a lot of energy, enough energy to smelt the ore into even more liquid iron, and the liquid iron builds up, overflows out of the furnace, so you're continually making fresh iron from the iron ore. In a blast furnace, you have to put the iron ore in solid. You have to heat it up. It takes 24 days for it to heat up from the top of the furnace to the bottom to melt it. We're already melted. We just use a powder, so it's directly smelting. It's much quicker, much more efficient in that way. So this liquid iron then comes out, it continuously flows out the furnace, and that can be converted into steel very easily, but just by injecting oxygen. We don't need any extra heat. So it's the same. After the blast furnace, it's the same. The blast furnace produces liquid iron. It's also known as pig iron. There's another term for it. This pig iron is then converted to steel just by adding oxygen. Because it's already hot, it's already got carbon in it as a fuel. You can burn off the carbon, creates enough heat to generate, keep it liquid and generate liquid steel. So Hi-smelt basically replaces a blast furnace, a coke ovens, and a pellet plant. You can do all that work that them three plants did, do it in one furnace. It's high intensity smelting, which is where the Hi-smelt name comes from, HI, high intensity smelting. So you're doing the work of three factories in one, if you like, from directly from iron ore and directly from carbon powder. So that's the big difference. So on the environmental side, the big problem with blast furnaces environmentally is not the blast furnace itself. It's the ancillary plant, the coke ovens, the pellet plants, sinter plants. That's what emit the pollutants, the particulates, the what they call PM10, the NOx, the SOx, the nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, even carcinogens like toluenes and furans, real nasty stuff coming out of them plants. They're eliminated. So that's the big environmental positive for Hi-smelt. And that's why the Chinese are using it now to replace their small blast furnaces. So in China, I had a count of all the blast furnaces in China recently. There's over 1,000 blast furnaces in China, and there are 500 about Whyalla size or smaller. And that's what China's looking to replace is all the small Whyalla size furnaces. Because Whyalla is an old furnace, it's a small furnace. It's only 1,000,000 tons a year. It's very small in the blast furnace world. There are lots of them in China. And but it's a coke oven sinter plants closing. That's the big advantage. Blast furnace itself is quite clean. The emissions from blast furnace, very small compared to the coke ovens and sinter plants and pellet plants. So that's a big advantage. And that's why China is going this route, is to clean up pollution. CO2 is a future thing for the Chinese, and the Chinese are looking at injection of hydrogen to Hi-smelt, replacing the coal with biochar, so that there is a green route to produce green steel in China. At the moment, they're not doing that. They're eliminating the nasty pollutants, and they will gradually work on the CO2.
Can I just say, I'm really impressed that you answered all three questions back to back. I kind of threw them at you and then realised after I asked them, but you hit every point on the head without me having to reprompt you. So well done. That was really impressive. So could I just ask, what are the limitations of the Hi-smelt process, and in what situations might it not be suitable?
Well, the beauty of Hi-smelt is so flexible. It's much more flexible than DRI or blast furnaces. DRI, you need very high quality iron ore to do that. Now, Whyalla can produce very high quality iron ore, so you can produce DRI at Whyalla. But Hi-smelt can use low quality, and there's low quality iron ore in Whyalla as well. You can use either, both, or a mixture, or whatever you like. Use a mixture of reductants as well. In future, you can use hydrogen, very flexible. I think the biggest limitation for Whyalla perhaps is if you want to go 100% green immediately, then we're going to have to use biochar from sustainably produced biomass. And I don't know what the biomass growing ability is in South Australia, although they are producing biochar in the Pilbara. So if they can do it in the Pilbara, maybe they can do it in the Eyre Peninsula as well.
And given Whyalla Steelworks' current financial situation, how might implementing Hi-smelt technology affect operational costs? And what would be a realistic timeframe for implementation?
Well, comparing the option of DRI and electric furnaces. So a DRI plant and a Hi-smelt plant, they'll both probably be about the same. I think a Hi-smelt will be slightly cheaper, but let's say they're the same. So big advantage for Hi-smelt is we don't need an electric furnace. The DRI, you need an electric furnace to make steel. We could use the existing Whyalla auction furnace because we produce hot liquid iron. So it's direct replacement for the blast furnace. So that eliminates the cost of the electric furnace. There's a big capex saving, big power grid issues. When you use electric arc furnaces, that's a massive drain on local electrical infrastructure. So that needs to be beefed up. So that would be eliminated. You could make liquid steel using the existing basic auction furnace. You wouldn't need the pellet plants or the coke ovens, so you'd save a lot of operating costs as well. So it would be lower. It would save operating costs and save capital costs. And as for the time frame, we built one in Western Australia in 3 years, so I think South Australia could match or even beat that.
Okay, great. So how does Hi-smelt compare to other green steel technologies like electric arc furnaces and direct reduced iron making that the South Australian Premier mentioned? I know you did touch a little bit on it earlier, but let's revisit that space quickly.
The big difference is the product. We are producing liquid pig iron. It's at 1400 degrees C. It's 96% iron. and it's easily converted to steel. You just add oxygen, you don't add any more heat, and it converts to steel in about 20, 30 minutes, done, dusted. Pour your steel into a caster, make your cast products. Very simple. DRI, however, it's less pure. It's about 92% iron, but it's a solid. So therefore, you have to take that, put it in another furnace, put a lot of electricity and melt it again to get it liquid, and then refine it into steel. Get it from 92% iron to 99.9% iron. It's more refining, takes longer, a lot more power, a lot more cost. So that's the basic difference. It's two different products, and it's a lot lower cost to produce steel from liquid pig iron than DRI.
Thank you for that. Based on your experience commissioning iron-making plants globally, what specific challenges might Whyalla face in transitioning to Hi-smelt?
Well, if you build the same plant we had in Kwinana or China, then there's no real difference. But that allows, they're all using coal at the moment. So if coal is not allowed and you have to go green for startup, I think the biggest issue, as I said, will be to get the biochar. If locally it's an issue, then it could be imported from other growing regions like Queensland or Indonesia, something like that. That would incur more cost, but it's probably going to be the same cost as importing coal used to be for the blast furnace.
Okay, Neil, now this really is a question for you. How might your technology complement BlueScope Steel's expertise, given they're being appointed as advisors to the administration process?
I know some people in BlueScope. I don't know if they're on the advisory team or not. Um, one of the downsides of the Hi-smelt, it's only used in China at the moment, and I don't know if the BlueScope team are aware of the recent developments, where they're going directly charging to arc furnaces. They're looking at hydrogen additions. They're looking at biochar additions. They're looking at bigger furnaces to produce more iron. So I don't know if the BlueScope guys are fully up to speed yet, and whether they're considering a Hi-smelt at all.
Okay, and what global commercial opportunities might exist for Whyalla if it successfully implemented green steel technology?
Well, if Whyalla can produce green steel economically, then the world will beat a path to their door. Everyone will want to see it. Everybody's going to Sweden now for hybrid, and they're making little nuggets of green steel. I think if they're making 1 million tons of green steel, everybody will be visiting Whyalla. Everybody will want to do trials. It'd be a great research centre. It'd be the world's biggest pilot plant for green steel. I think it'd be a big plus. At 1 million tons a year, I don't think it's going to be a massive needle in the green steel business because there's 1 billion tons of steel to be made around the world. So it's a very small amount, but it could be a good technical R&D centre.
Great, thank you. And just to wrap us up, what's one issue within the manufacturing industry that you feel isn't getting the attention it deserves?
Within manufacturing, I would think it's the cost of energy. And I travel all over the world and do a lot of projects in the US and the Middle East, and they're going gangbusters because their cost of energy is an order of magnitude lower than Australia or Europe. Yeah, for various reasons, and they're also the greenest. The greenest steel is made at the moment by Emirates Steel in Abu Dhabi. They're about 90% decarbonized already, so they are officially green steel. They've got nuclear power. They've got sequestration. Yeah, they've got DRI already. They're doing it. And the same with US Steel, companies like Nucor Steel. They're already selling green steel because 70% of their steel is already made by electricity and scrap. They add a little bit of DRI just to top it up for certain grades. They add a lot more pig iron because pig iron helps the quality of the steel. But low cost energy already makes it green. So Australia's got to attract you, get lower cost energy. The green steel will be made. Maybe not with DRI and hydrogen, but it can be made. And it is being made elsewhere in the world where cost of energy is much lower.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on today?
Oh, I could talk for hours on Hi-smelt. Got 45 years experience, yeah? I could bore everybody to death. No problem.
I'm sure you could. Well, those are all of my questions for today. So thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. Nice to meet you.
As we've heard today, the transformation of traditional steel making presents both significant challenges and exciting opportunities. The situation at Whyalla is just one example of the crossroads the industry faces, and innovations like Hi-smelt technology could play a crucial role in determining what path forward is the most viable. If you'd like to learn more about Neil's work or the Hi-smelt process, you can find links in our show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe and share with colleagues who might be interested in the future of manufacturing. Join us next time as we continue to explore the innovations, challenges, and opportunities in the manufacturing sector. Until then, this is Simran Gill signing off. Thanks for listening.